So part of our hookup checklist, I do the inside and I start at the back, make sure this is down, that all the window locks are in place, the door is locked up here, and the shower head is down in the bucket, and then I lock the fridge. And check the other windows, that all their locks are in the right place and that none of the blinds are closed, like this one. So I'll have to open that up. I also need to check that that is locked and that window's good, and that all the doors on the cupboards are locked. So that nothing flies open and goes careering around the place while we're travelling. And that's the inside checklist.
Hi there, so we're about to take the caravan off on another little trip, and so some things I just check. For example, we've got 2 gas bottles but only one's hooked on. The gas is off. I'm just checking the height on that, and it gets a bit dry, so I just often just give a bit of a spray just to lubricate and to assist, even under here and on the tow ball as well. And if this gets a bit dry, I give it a bit of a spray. So that all looks good so far. Before we hook it onto the car, I just need to raise it just a little bit. So it's got enough height, so when I back the car in, it'll just go straight in. I have a little locking mechanism, handy little thing. Once we hook it up, that locks in and locks it down. And sometimes the handbrake can get a little bit dry, so I give that a bit of a spray. The other thing that's very important is that we check everything to make sure that all the doors and things are all locked, everything's secure. I also like to check the tyre pressure, have a look. It looks fine, but we'll see once we get on the road. It looks good. I'm looking for things that are possibly loose or not right. Here we normally have a generator. We're not using it on this trip. This is our spare tyre. Oh, well, there you go. It's a bit loose. I'll just grab a spanner. So we'll just tighten this up. It wouldn't come off, but you don't want things rattling around while you're driving at 100 k's an hour. You want it all to be as secure as possible. So that's very tight again, and I like that to be empty as we're going to another campsite. Checking the vents, that there's no blockages. Tyre looks good again. All looks good. Remember that most caravans have feet, especially when they're in a secure position. I've already fixed the feet up, and so the only thing that's holding the van up is this jockey wheel here. So I'll jump in the car and we'll reverse it in, and then we'll hook it up. What did we do before we had automatic hoods? So next thing is just to lower this down, make sure that this is in the open position to accept it. Another thing that's worth noting is that this caravan is very, very light, and even if that wasn't quite right, I could bully the van into position, as opposed to a van that has double axles. No chance in the world of doing anything with that. So we'll just take this jockey wheel off. And then we'll secure this back on again. And another important thing that I always do, I just pop this on, lock this on. So there's a little clip, goes in through there, that's locked on. Handbrake I'll leave for a second because I want to just hook up the van mechanically. And the reason we do this is if something goes wrong and it was to come adrift here, we've got these to keep it attached to the car physically. So that one. And this side. The important thing with hooking up a caravan is not to be in a rush. You need that extra little bit of time just to make sure that everything is done correctly. So I'll release the handbrake. And the other thing that I like to do, we've had problems with vans in the past electrically, so I have some spray here. It's just a silicone based spray. And I just spray these electrical contacts before we hook it on. It's as easy as that. Electrically connected and mechanically connected. So I'll lower the door and then we'll just pull the van out slowly. We've still got the power on our van, 240, but we'll just pull the van out. The last little last part of the operation is just to check that indicators and brakes and night lights are working, and then after that we're free to go.
Coming off the ferry is always getting on and coming off is a slow, careful process. We do have to take the legs off the back of the van because they have been broken once or twice. This is our breakfast stop spot at Australind on the estuary. They have swans here and egrets. Lovely spot to stop for brekkie. This is at the fishing boat harbour at Fremantle. There's different eatery places here.